I'm Billy S, welcome back to the channel. Earlier in the year, I ranked the Soulsborne Hubs from worst to best, but for today's video, I'm gonna focus on ranking the Soulsborne Hub music tracks. Arguably, these are the pieces of music you're going to hear the most during your time in a given Souls game, whether you're warping back to the hub to level up with a patented level up maiden, or you're going on a little shopping spree with the various NPCs you've stockpiled. These tracks need to make you feel a sense of safety and a sense of security. Now, fair warning, the Demon's Souls remake OST is not included, as I've yet to play that version of the game, and I really need to hear those themes in-game before I can give a proper placement on this list. I will also be including the alternate hub themes for Demon's Souls, Dark Souls 3, and Bloodborne, so be on the lookout for those as well. This ranking is like picking between my favorite children, so you can ease my burden by parrying that subscribe button to stay up to date on all of my future videos. We're trying to reach 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and we only have just over 1,000 to go. I think we can do it. So without further ado, every Soulsborne Hub music theme ranked. Let me know your favorite down below. At number 10, we have Ashina Outskirts, the theme of the dilapidated temple from Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I don't think this comes as a huge shock, what with Sekiro having the faintest relation to the rest of the series by way of brand popularity and a certain gaming structure. With a focus on forward progression, you rarely find yourself returning to the dilapidated temple except to craft new tools for your prosthetic, or to progress the quest lines that allow you into the Hirata estate. And I think the developers knew this, as they didn't choose to give the area its own track, instead having it share its theme with the upcoming Ashina Outskirts. Which isn't to say it's bad, far from it. I love the feudal drum beats and the slow build-up of the music as you explore the upcoming zone. Sekiro has a very distinct sound due to its aesthetic, and it lends itself well to feeling memorable in a vacuum. However, the rest of the games all have themes dedicated to their hubs, no sharing allowed, and that extra level of care needs to be respected in my eyes. Even if I absolutely adore the wood and string instruments of the dilapidated temple. I'd argue this hub is more iconic when you turn the music down and just let the game's sound effects take hold. This is actually something I mentioned in my hub ranking, but Sekiro truly is an ASMR lover's paradise, with such a focus on sound design that the music arguably unenhances the experience. At number 9, we have The Nexus from Demon's Souls. This is the second theme of the hub, which begins to play after you slay 3 archdemons, and boy, did this take me off guard my first time through. As someone who really came to find the Maiden in Black's theme quite comforting, the sudden, jarring organ was really disconcerting. Given the other main theme to share the organ in this game is that of Old King Alant, it's clear what this instrument is meant to signify. We're becoming closer to that of a demon by siphoning the souls of the archdemons to satisfy our own power. You can read it as us being corrupted by the power in our hands, or that we're slowly gaining in strength to the point where we no longer need our Maiden in Black to soothe us, able to stand on our own 2 feet. I love the way the organ begins to harmonize towards the end of the track as well, taking on a really ominous tone that solidifies, "We're in the end game now, Tinky Winky." It's a harsh track, which is ultimately what ranks it so low on this list, because I'm far more drawn to the music that invites the player in with softer melodies and more haunting undertones. This just feels a tad too bombastic for my tastes. At number 8, we have Round Table Hold from Elden Ring. I won't lie to you all, I really tried to form a list where the Round Table Hold theme landed higher than 8th. I really wanted to give Elden Ring's soundtrack some love because I truly do enjoy listening to this somber music with its low orchestral energy. Yet I just have too much attachment to the rest of the themes. This really is a list where I feel bias is coming into play, and I'm just unable to be objective. But I'd hope that's what you're here for. I am an opinion-based channel. This theme evokes the tragedy of the lands between, a realm broken by the shattering, the tattered remains of the tarnished clinging on in vain as the world tries to refocus. Everyone you meet is on a personal journey, and your actions with them help to further their goals. It's a shame then that every character in the hold besides Nefeli meets an untimely demise at the end of the game, with just Hugh and Roderica left in an empty, burning stronghold that was supposed to represent the best of us. It leaves me feeling empty in turn, and while a perfect encapsulation of Elden Ring's themes and energy, it's just not something I'd choose to listen to except for when I'm in-game. At number 7, we have Maiden in Black from Demon's Souls. The first theme at the Nexus, and my preferred one by far, this was one of the first tracks I took the time to listen to, where I noticed just how well they used the silence in the theme to build up the rest of the notes. It's just a simple set of strings with a low backing track behind them to give a small sense of gravitas, but compared to the Nexus from earlier, the plucking sounds here feel like a warm hug or a hand on your back, soothing you from the stresses of Boletaria. This is a track I can put on and just listen to for an hour while I work, because it isn't intrusive, it doesn't ask for your full attention, and yet you still get the full brunt of the experience while having it in the background. A couple of the note changes midway through really get me in a good way, and it ultimately leads to a track that I'd be happy to listen to again and again. Had you asked me a year ago what my favorite theme was, I actually think Maiden in Black would have landed around number 4 on this list. But taking the time to sit down and listen to these themes for this video really put into perspective which ones I enjoyed, and that meant the Maiden needed to take a small step back just this one time. At number 6, we have Firelink Shrine from Dark Souls 3. If I had to wager a guess, I think this is the theme I've had the most time with in-game, as you spend way more time in the hub of Dark Souls 3 than any other Souls title. I love the introduction of the female vocalist, lending her voice to the tones of the track, helping to create a melody that sticks in the mind. The way the music starts off low and slow yet dramatic, building up to the theme we all know and love. It's a simple melody and depicts a similar somberness as the Round Table Hold theme, yet by including the singer, there's a small element of hope added in. It gives the music a bit more of an uplifting tune and a lot more gravitas to boot. Is it the first hub theme I think of when I talk about Soulsborne? No, it's not even the first theme from Dark Souls 3 I think of, but we're really entering what I'd consider to be the pantheon of godly tracks, and Yuka Kitamura really hit this one out of the park. At number 5, we have Firelink Shrine from Dark Souls. The classic hub theme, the one that comes to everyone's minds when they think about the Souls series, this track blends the beauty of the string instruments with the somber yet hopeful notes of the backing track to create an effect that really works for the hub. Firelink Shrine is vibrant and colourful in comparison to many of the later hubs in the series, which means the melody needs to be a little more upbeat and vibrant in comparison. Then we have that moment midway through where the track hits us with a few high-note percussion beats to really give Dark Souls a unique sound. It's actually quite similar to the sounds used in Majula's theme in Dark Souls 2, but here they put far more focus on blending all the instruments together as opposed to letting them all shine on their own in a quiet fashion. So depending on what you're into, I could see Firelink Shrine being a top-tier hub theme for a lot of players, and for me it is up there, it really is up there, and I will never forget the melody, but I just prefer the ethereal energy of the tracks coming up a little bit more. At number 4, we have the Hunter's Dream from Bloodborne. The first hub theme of the game, this is the primary theme you'll be hearing for a majority of your playthrough, and as I said at the end of the last entry, I was looking for a more ethereal energy for my hub themes. Nowhere is that more showcased than in Bloodborne. Does it help this is my favourite Souls game? Probably, but when you're placed on a small island in a sea of clouds near a small workshop that feels very quaint in a vast world, you too want a track that emphasises that. There are a lot of quiet notes in the background, like you're hearing them from a distance. There's the ghostly voice of a vocalist who really lends herself to the theme in a way that I'm learning I just really enjoy. And then, as it progresses, it gets a little eerie, with the notes changing ever so slightly, depicting that this is not a normal place, and what's going on here is sadder than you might expect. One could say this is the theme of Gehrman and the doll, with the doll's energy bringing in hope as the female vocalist, while Gehrman provides the doubt that this dream is truly safe, a foretelling of what is to come at the game's climax. And had I not recalled that the series had alternate hub themes, this would have been my number 2. At number 3, we have Secret Betrayal from Dark Souls 3. This is the alternate hub theme that plays after gifting the Firekeeper the Firekeeper's eyes found in the unlit Firelink Shrine. And this track playing means that you're on the journey towards betraying your purpose, either by allowing the Firekeeper to snuff out the first flame at game's end, or by betraying her and claiming the flame for yourself. Either way, the theme's title, Secret Betrayal, makes full sense. You're starting a conspiracy, and this theme reflects the gravity of the situation. The female vocalist takes a lead role in the theme now, as if she's the Firekeeper herself, taking up her new role as a lead conspirator. You could argue it's also the theme of the player, as this is the only path that allows us to have full control over our decisions in the ending. We're not listening to the gods, nor the pilgrims of Londor, we're taking things into our own hands. But the ending is that of melancholy. We're taking a cycle and ending it for good, absconding with the light and allowing it to darken in our very hands. We're ending the Dark Souls series, and this theme encapsulates the heavy toll it's about to take on us and the Firekeeper. I think it's just beautiful, and its lore significance boosts it on today's list to a bronze finish. At number 2, we have Moonlit Melody from Bloodborne. Yep, the 2 alternate themes that primarily focus on a female vocalist getting to be haunting and melancholic ended up making the bottom half of today's podium. What can I say? I have a type. This theme plays either upon the descent of the moon presence, or by having over 50 insight. Instead of a quiet, somber tune like the previous, we get a louder, more in-your-face vocal track that I like to imagine was always there. You know the whispers of the female vocalist in the original theme? I like to imagine that it's just part of this track and we didn't have the insight to hear it. I could be completely wrong about that, in fact I probably am, but that's my headcanon I'm going with. Where Secret Betrayal from Dark Souls 3 is so dramatic and to the point, I prefer the airy moonlit melody here in Bloodborne, as it's just more relaxing to me, like someone is putting me to sleep with a soft lullaby. It's charming and somber, and I wish it could play more often, but getting that 50 insight can be a real pain, so most people don't hear it. And that for me is a knock against this theme. It's so good, I prefer it as a hub theme, but we never get the opportunity to hear it in-game unless we fully go out of our way for it. Unlike my number 1, where you can listen to its theme all day long. At number 1, we have Medulla from Dark Souls 2. This is a track that has everything I like about a hub theme. It isn't too overdramatic or overbearing like the Nexus's organ notes. It's not too sad like that of the Round Table Hold, and while it doesn't have our favourite female vocalist from the last few entries, it doesn't need her. Medulla's theme takes inspiration from the Maiden in Black from Demon Souls, focusing less on an overall music track and more on the silence between each note, allowing you to hear the ocean breeze in the distance, the lapping of waves crashing against the cliffside, and your own footsteps as you walk down to this little sunlit town between each of the notes. Then, once you're in the settlement, the backing track hits and complements the chimes beautifully. It all begins to build into this little cacophony that you wonder maybe it's too much, before softly dropping back into silence, the track looping once again. Majula has always been a comfort place for me, really reminds me of Cornwall in the UK where I grew up, and this music could easily be a theme for the town I lived in. Dark Souls 2 was my first Souls game after all, and this was my first hub theme. But I don't think it's bias here. I really think they just nailed the style they were going for. It's a track with a beginning, a middle, and an end, a rise and a climax, and that really lends itself to sticking in my mind. And that's my list. Which hub theme is your favorite? Let me know down below, and be sure to parry that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all of my future videos. And also, where would you put the Demon's Souls remake hub themes? I haven't listened to them, but that doesn't mean that you guys can't tell me about them. So I want to give a shout out to my YouTube channel members for supporting me for another month. You guys are amazing. It's $4.99. It gets you early access to future videos, and a shout out in the description and at the end of videos as well. It's a great way to support the channel and ensure I can keep making these videos. And if you want to follow me, you can hit me up over on Blue Sky. It is lovely there. The skies are blue, the skies are nice, and it's just fun to post. So I'll see you guys next time for another video. Adios.